What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about why I'm worried about Little Hope. Now, it's been a little while since I talked about this game, and during kind of times where there's not that much of news, I do like to kind of put focus on the smaller games, the smaller titles that maybe don't get a lot of love, either from me on Podcast Now or also just from the gaming industry in general. And Little Hope has become that kind of game on this channel specifically that I've really enjoyed talking about, and I've talked about quite a lot, and I do want to continue it going forward. The game does worry me, though. It really does. We're now into June, okay? So we're on June 6th when you guys are watching this video, and, you know, I think the writing is on the wall that this game is probably an August game. I don't think that I do think we'll probably get the release date very soon. Probably at some point this month, they'll just come out with a random announcement saying, okay, it's coming out, August 15th, whatever day in August. But I do think this month is the month that we get the release date, and then in August is when it comes out. I just don't see, although the game does exist and the game is kind of out in public eyes where people can see it, I still think you need a little bit of time in between the announcement of the release date and then the game actually coming out. That's just generally, even though the game does exist, you're not going to announce it and then release it a few weeks later. But really that goes to the basic point of why I'm worried about this game is, okay, well, now we're getting this game in August, and it's not even so much about this game. It's Supermassive, and we've talked about Supermassive games in the past that, hey, they're a studio that literally found light with Until Dawn, okay? They were a studio that nobody really knew of, and they made a couple smaller things that weren't even all that great before Until Dawn. They made Until Dawn an incredible game, and they'll always, by the way, have that to their credit, okay? And I'll always respect their work and the work basically that these people have put into their craft because of Until Dawn. At the same time, ever since then, this plan with the Dark Pictures anthology is a different idea. We've never really seen something like this. Again, obviously, like the 8-game deal that they have going on there. But remember, again, like I've said countless times, when they announced that, again, the writing was on the wall where it was kind of not great, where it's like, okay, well, I can see maybe why you would want to do this, and it sounds cool, makes sense. You get to tell all these different stories of all these different locations and characters, and all these different just things they could do in the horror spectrum with this. But at the same time, are you going to be able to get these games out every 6 months? Are you going to be able to do this over 4 years? Are the games going to become repetitive? Are they going to become lazy? Are they going to become boring? All of those things. And here we are. We got Man of Medan, and that game did not instill confidence, I think, in anybody. Little Hope has been that game that I've said this is it's a game that, okay, I mean, obviously on its own, if you go down the street, go on your neighborhood and scream the name Little Hope, it's not very, you're not probably going to get a lot of people that know what this game is. And in the gaming industry, this game isn't the biggest of all the games, okay? There's a lot of games coming out. Next gen, also obviously a lot of games. So this game is probably going to get lost in all of that talk. However, it still does have a base, and for what it's worth with this Dark Pictures anthology, Little Hope is such an important game, again, for the reasoning of people lost confidence. I mean, just flat out, people lost confidence in Man of Medan, okay? They absolutely did. So now what Little Hope needs to do is it needs to get that confidence back on board, because, whether or not the anthology, like, secretly maybe is, like, canceled in the background, and they have, because, again, like, there's supposed to be 6 other games after Little Hope, right? Whether or not that's going to happen or not, this game still will define the future for them. If they mess this one up, and so that's 2 games back-to-back that they've messed up, and with just a pretty spotty record ever since Until Dawn. Again, this game probably should have came out in February. In fact, again, if you follow the whole 6-month thing, it should be every August, February, back and forth, and that did not happen. And so now here we are a year later. We're probably going to get this game 1 year after Man of Medan, which I guess isn't the worst thing in the world, but now, all of a sudden, instead of 4 years, 8 games, now you have 8 years, and you have a year in between every game. I don't think that's going to work out. I think that, firstly, that's too long. I mean, it's weird, right? Because on one side, I would say giving us so many games so close to each other, you could look at that. There's a lot of reasons why that could be a bad thing. And then at the same time, if you space it out for a year, I think going 8 years and doing that straight through, that's kind of a bad idea too. I don't really think that's something you would want to do there either. So they really are caught in a pickle there. The more I think about it, the more that we've seen what they've done with Little Hope and how they've handled this anthology, they probably should have just made bigger games, take 3-4 years, make your game, one game, get it published by somebody, right? And then go from there. I think that probably would have been the better idea. Again, though, I mean, the jury's out on that. I mean, we don't know that, right? It's still out because Little Hope could prove to be, okay, you know, Man of Medan was just a step backwards, but here we go. Because, I mean, it still is possible. You can tell a pretty cool story in 3-4 hours that is very, again, like very, put together. It works. You get in, you get out, but you had a really, really good time. You're invested enough where you're going to get the next game. And those are all, obviously, the things that they need to make sure that people are doing. And I think, again, with Man of Medan, that didn't work. I think overall it was looked at as an okay game, and I mean, I don't think anybody would say Man of Medan was a bad game, okay? And also, again, even for the price of it, I mean, it wasn't. It was not a bad game. Was it the most, incredible game ever created? No, and I think, again, it wasn't bad, but it took away confidence of people for Supermassive, and what they could do in the Until Dawn stuff, where they have really less to stand on right now than they did before. And on top of that, I mean, I really have nothing against Little Hope. We've seen an okay amount. I've talked about that gameplay, those gameplay parts that we've seen of the game. Looks solid enough, for sure. Characters, some of them seem like they can be better than others. Hopefully they can put it all together, but it's more of the waiting. It's not necessarily the game itself, but it's more of the situation they've put Little Hope in, where it doesn't seem like it's a good situation, where it's like, why did it take so long? I'm interested in playing it. Like, I'm going to still play. I'm going to play it. I can't wait to play it. And then besides that, I'm excited to see if it's going to be good or bad. And then I'm also excited to see of where does it go from here? Do they immediately announce their next game and say, hey, this was not supposed to be the plan, and now we got a game coming out. We are going to do it. We're going to start doing every 6 months, like February, March, area. We're going to have a brand new game. Can they do that? I don't think they're going to talk about that until we get this game. So one thing at a time for sure, but I'm really excited to see, in, I guess, a good and bad way, right? Because it could definitely go really, really bad for them. I'm excited to see where it goes in the future. So, guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Are you worried about Little Hope? Are you worried about the way that Supermassive Games has handled this situation? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this YouTube channel. Have the bell icon turned on so you know when all these videos go up. And I do a new video on this channel every single day, so you can always expect a video the next day. If there's anything Little Hope related news-wise that comes out, I'll absolutely be sure to cover it either here or on the main channel, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.